Hey everyone, Metagross Freak here with Ekimu the Mask Maker. For us in UK and in US, Ekimu the Mask Maker is uh, available in the summer, or I guess you could say late spring, 2016 set. For those of you in southern hemisphere countries, this of course would be technically, I guess you could say, your winter wave, because the seasons are reversed. Anyway, Ekimu is set number 71312, coming in at 94 pieces. And for me, in the US, this cost me $22. A quick little interruption here. I originally had a clip where I discussed how I thought it was weird that Ekimu cost $22 when the other Toa from all the sets cost about $15 or $16, and yet he was actually a little bit more than the $20 sets like Anua and Tahu and 2015's Kopaka. Looking back on the clip that is, I'm realizing that it kind of makes sense considering it considers both functions. However, I don't believe the inclusion of the 2015 gearbox is worth an extra $5. It's still a really good set, though I believe it is definitely overpriced. $17 or $18 would be fair enough, however $22 is kind of a bit of price gouging. There are a couple pieces worth mentioning that I thought were really interesting. The first off being the extra long brain stock. This is the 2015 brain stock, and Ekimu, for some reason, only comes with a 2015 instead of a 2016 brain stock. This could be simply because Ekimu is an older character. He's been around since the olden times of Bionicle. They don't really. I'm sure they might give some kind of explanation, but just an interesting note is that he has a longer brain stock, so you have to be careful about accidentally hitting the back of his head and making his mask pop off. Speaking of masks, we have two masks in this set. We come with, instead of a black and apple green, or lime green, I guess you could potentially call it, Umarak mask, we have a gunmetal gray and trans orange, I think it's trans red Umarak mask. Now, in the artwork of the instructions and the box, they actually show Ekimu stepping on the mask with Umarak in the corner. It could be that when Umarak dons the Mask of Control, his old mask, which contains his old personality, is essentially just discarded, and the Mask of Control takes him over. We don't really know the significance of this coloration of the mask, but the fact that it is on both the box and on the fact that it's displayed on the box with Umarak the Destroyer in the background implies that this version of the mask may have some story significance. Um, the other mask, of course, being the mask of the main mask of power, Ekimu's mask, the mask of creation. We have seen this piece before in the standard CCBS Gold. However, this is the first time we're seeing it in trans light blue, and I gotta say, it looks really great. There's a lot of good textural details, and a lot of stuff that you can't really see unless you hold it in person, unless you take a look at it up close. There's a little spike right here on the forehead. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's a little spike right there. It just looks like the same plastic. It basically looks kind of like a little bridge piece, like kind of like the bridge but holding two lenses together on a pair of glasses to basically prevent the mask from wobbling too much on the head. And I kind of like that because one of the problems with the 2015 mask was they wobbled a lot. So maybe that is a way to solve the issue with the longer brain stock. But anyway, cool mask, and gotta like recolors. It's 2016 Toa chest plate. This time, instead of being a various shade of gold or black or white or metallic bronze or silver or whatever, this one comes in a trans color, trans light blue, with kind of a goldish bronze printing. So you can see it has kind of like this rope sash on the side. It has the new symbol, which is Ekimu's symbol, right there in the center. And it has the Toa Nuva symbol seen on the 2016 Toa along the sides. It has a little bit of chest plating there, which kind of harkens back to the chest armor Ekimu had in the 2015 model. Last couple pieces of interest are this armor piece. This shell was originated from Hero Factory, I believe in their Jailbreak line. However, it hasn't seen any use in Bionicle yet, so it's kind of a nice addition. It kind of looks a little bit like an engine block, and it's used for Ekimu's hammer. Speaking of Ekimu's hammer, we also have the crystal shard piece, which is being used frequently in all of the beasts. This is the only piece of crystal armor that is used in Ekimu, and it looks really nice. It's a nice, vibrant, light blue. Alright, so as always in my Bionicle videos, I'm doing a bare bones skeleton first to show you what the model looks like underneath the armor. I know none of the other YouTubers, like Jang or uh, like TTV or whatever, do this, and that's just because I like being able to show what it looks like, because sometimes you get to see interesting elements when you look at it all together without any of the armor on. And interestingly enough, we have a little bit of asymmetry. We have a gray arm piece here, and we have a light blue arm piece, which technically means he has the kind of the kung fu action in one arm. Meanwhile, the other arm is better for posability, and this is because one arm is used to hold the shield, so it needs to have a better different pose, and the other arm needs a little more friction because this is the action arm. Speaking of the actions, the waist articulation works very well, and the shoulder articulation is tight due to a, as you can see here, a ball and I guess you could call it standard hand piece. Not a hand piece, but I guess in the original Bionicle series this was a hand. But the piece here, which gives it a ton of friction, and it doesn't have a very good stick. Personally, I would replace this circular gear with one of the standard issue gears, like used inside the waist, like one of these. I think that'd be a little bit easier to grip. Instead, you just have kind of a difficult to twist arm, so it makes it really awkward to use his upper body arm function. That being said, I think it's a great looking set without all the armor, and personally do like, however, the build that uses this cross beam. Keep in mind, by putting in the gearbox, they couldn't put a piece of Unity, so they had to have some kind of connectors for the shoulder armor, and they decided to go with this crossbar thing, which gives them a very automaton look. Just looking at this, it makes it look kind of, if the light blue pieces were turned gray or black, this would look like a very standard issue automaton, and I think it looks really great. I don't know if I will do this with a variety of other builds, but I think just that look looks really good without the armor. That's just my opinion, though. Overall, I'm a little disappointed we have another Bionicle character whose primary function is in their right arm, which means technically out of the, surprise, surprise, out of the seven heroes, or I'm not even sure if Ekimu counts as a Toa, but if we're counting him as a Toa, he is yet another Toa who doesn't have a function in their left arm. Generally, if any character has a function in the left arm, it's because they move both arms, like 2015 Kopaka, 2015 Liwa, 2015 Onua. I'm getting, I mean, I'm sorry for complaining about it, but I'm kind of getting tired of characters not having functions in their left arm. I realize I can just re-gear it to do that, but canonically, no character has their gear function in their left arm. It's always the right arm, and so the legs just use these light blue shells on all four pieces of the leg. And, well, to be honest, this looks kind of boring. However, to sprucing it up, you have two pieces of gold 2015 shells that attach to the lower shin. As a result, this makes the shins look super beefy. I think they would look better if they had them either on the shins, if they had flipped the piece down and had them going up, or if they had them going down on the upper thigh to make it kind of like a knee pad. This kind of makes his feet look a little stocky, kind of like he's wearing these giant gold diver's boots. If he were a water character, or even an earth character, I'd be okay with this, but being Ekimu the Mask Maker, it looks a little weird. The back actually does have a piece of armor using another 2015 plate plugging in to the back of the gearbox. And it goes in nice securely, but it does kind of cut off a little bit of wiggle room, so you have a little bit less room for your fingers to move when you're moving this bottom gear. That being said, on the arms, we have two more of the light blue armor shells, and for the first time, at least for the first time in this set, not for the first time ever, I misspoke there, two gold shells on the wrists, and now it looks a lot better because it has a little more gold armor to go with those feet. However, the pauldrons are interesting because we attached these two little ball joints at the base, not really the base of the neck, but just kind of the base of the torso, and if you have to kind of angle them oddly, kind of a little bit like a Protector of Fire's shoulder armor, I'm going to leave them like that for a second, because we're using these big pauldron pieces we saw originally, and I believe these pieces either originated in Chima, or possibly as far back as the 2000, as the Knights Kingdom series, back when they had these little figures that had gearboxes. art. Those were really interesting. I want to say that was in maybe like 2006, 2007. The pauldron pieces don't really cover the shoulders too well without sticking out at awkward angles. So I'm going to kind of leave them like this for now. I think that kind of looks good, but he has these really big shoulders, as you can see. They stick out far forward. However, if I put the chest plate in, you'll actually notice from the side that, unlike other characters who have a little bit of wiggle room in their chest, his doesn't have that gap. It's filled in. But, luckily, it seems we're supposed to put the pauldrons on above the chest armor, or on top of it, because you're able to kind of wiggle them and maneuver them into place. I'm personally just using them to cover up the axles a little bit on the arms. That's what it looks like from the side. He has very pointy shoulders. I think it looks pretty good, though he's got a little bit of bulk right at the base of the neck. I don't know. I've kind of got a little mixed opinion on it, but I think it looks good for now. Moving on to the weapons, we have, of course, the shield with kind of like these little clip pieces, and these clip on to the arm here, and that's why we need the ball joint there, the more open ball joint, because you need to have a little more posability. There we go, got that. And of course, for let me pose this, actually. What I like is that he also has the arm open. It leaves his arm open, so you can pose in. Worst case scenario, if you don't like the ability to pose the arm, you can always just rotate the piece. There we go. I'm going to do it like that. And there we go. We're able to pull this in. Pull this arm in, so we have a nice shield piece like that. That looks really good, though the fist kind of just dangling off into nowhere is kind of weird. I don't know how much of a fan I am of that, but you have to kind of position the arm to make that work. Yeah, I'll fiddle with that a little bit later. This is going on for a while. And of course, for the hammer, which, I personally like. Some people, for some reason, aren't getting the little shell piece that goes right at the bottom. I had an extra one, and I had not only an extra one, but I had the one that was supposed to go on the bottom here, though for some reason I guess people aren't getting this one, because I've seen a couple people complaining about that being an open socket or an open peg. Personally, I think this is a really cool looking hammer. Ekimu's original hammer was fairly small. It was basically a stud shooter, and it was implied that the crystal studs it shot were little pieces of crystal, and it here looks like, since Ekimu grew up, that the crystals grew into these large spikes, and I really like that. There's been a lot of mixed feelings on the crystal hammer. I, however, think it looks really great. The only downside is we have these red pins on the side, which, red doesn't go with his color scheme. If this was on, say, Tahu, it'd probably be Tahu or Protector of Fire, or heck, even Kulta, it would be excusable. However, not on Ekimu, whose primary color schemes are, of course, gold and light blue. And of course, to finish off Ekimu, we have here the Mask of Creation. It does seem like that little spike does prevent the spike in the back of the helmet, prevents it from being accidentally triggered. So, no social justice warrior hatred here. However, it does work how it's supposed to, and extra pieces got tossed everywhere. But there we have it. Mask of Creation. Pop this off, and just for S&Gs, we have here Umarak's Hunter Mask, and actually, I think this looks really cool. This looks like Ekimu got corrupted, like Umarak was just like, this mask isn't mine, take it, and he got corrupted. So I kind of like this look. It's out of character, but it looks really cool. It makes him instantly look from being very godlike and heroic to being instantly sinister. So there you have it, Ekimu the Mask Maker. He's got both functions. He's got a lot of light blue. He has no solid colors in his color scheme. He just has metallic gold and the trans light blue, but that's okay. He looks great. I know a lot of reviewers were saying to basically pass on this set since it wasn't really anything new, but I don't think it needed to bring anything new. I think it looks great as is. It uses both mechanics from both Toa waves, and it uses both of them well. It gives us a recolor of a mask that is fairly popular. It returns Ekimu's wicked shield. It gives him a cool new hammer. I mean, I'm not trying to state the obvious, but it really feels like this version of Ekimu is supposed to be the stand-in for Takanuva. And I'm curious to find out what they're going to do with the red and gunmetal Umarak mask. Looking forward to how they're going to integrate that into the story. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think of Ekimu the Mask Maker. Until next time, I'm Metagross Freak, and build on.